Okay, so what if a science fiction novel wasn't just a story? What if it was also the blueprint for a new kind of AI? And what if that AI was built to be a legal weapon? That's what we're digging into today. This incredible project where art, tech, and the law all get fused into one single fascinating system. Let's jump in.
And our journey starts with this really cryptic line. The figure 8 does not close, it recurses. Begin. Now, this isn't just some poetic flourish. It's really a mission statement. It hints at a system that's not built for simple, neat answers, but for these continuous, evolving loops.
See, at its heart, this whole thing is a countermeasure. It's a way of fighting back. And it's a response to these massive systems, giant corporations, complex AI, that have gotten so big and so secretive that we have no idea how they make decisions anymore. This system, it's built to push back against that kind of opacity.
So where do we even begin with something this complex? Well, not with code, not with a legal doc, but with a myth. A story. And this story is what gives the whole system its unique language, and you could even say its soul.
The story just drops us right into this incredibly atmospheric San Francisco. We're following this young woman who, well, she just sees the city differently. For her, it's not just streets and buildings. It's a living system full of hidden frequencies and interlocking patterns.
And this idea is absolutely central. She learns to read the city not as information, but as frequency, as a specific interference pattern. Look, this isn't just some cool character trait. It's the philosophical foundation for the entire system we're about to unpack.
And here's where things get really interesting. That novel's title, it's not just a poetic name. It's the actual technical blueprint for the system.
All right, so let's peel back that layer of myth, because underneath the story of the girl on the moped, there is a machine. Let's take a look at the technical architecture that's actually powering this whole idea.
And here it is, Recursive Vector Interference. It's not just the name of the book, it's a technical model. Just imagine an AI exploring a ton of different ways to solve a problem, all at once. RVI is basically the process of those competing thoughts bumping into each other, interfering until they finally settle on one stable answer.
Now, RBI is just one piece of a bigger system called CTMS, and its goal? It's designed to fight what's called interpretability failure in AI. You know, that big problem where we don't know how an AI actually got its answer? CTMS forces the AI's thinking process into what the creators call a traceable weather system. I love that analogy. Think about it. You can't predict the weather perfectly, right? But you can track every single storm, every pressure system. This system applies that exact same logic to an AI's thought process. This really shows you the core difference. Over on the left, you've got your standard black box AI. That's how most of the powerful AI we use today works. You get an answer, but the why is totally hidden. But on the right, you see CTMS. It is designed from the ground up for transparency. Every single step is tagged. Every branch of reasoning is recorded. It's built to be audited. It's built to leave a trail.
So how does it actually work? Here's the core mechanism. First, the AI builds out a thought tree, generating tons of possible ways to answer a question. Then, it starts exploring those different paths. And finally, it flattens that tree, compressing all that exploration down into one final traceable output. But, and this is the absolute key, it records the entire journey. It creates a permanent record of how it got from A to B.
So you might be thinking, why go to all this trouble? Well, this wasn't just some cool research project. This machine was born from the ashes of a real-world institutional collapse, and it's designed to be a weapon aimed at a very, very specific, high-stakes target.
The entire project is basically haunted by the ghost of the San Francisco Art Institute, or SFAI. This place was legendary, a major hub for art and network theory. But it was just allowed to collapse. Its assets vanished, all while the very ideas it helped pioneer went on to become billion-dollar industries.
And after all that history, all those priceless contributions to our culture, this is what the institution's assets were reportedly worth at the end of it all. $9.35. I mean, that's not just a number. That is a symbol of total catastrophic institutional failure. And right here, this is where the project reveals its true target. The central argument is that the SFAI collapse is a small-scale version of what's happening right now with major AI labs. They point specifically to the conversion of OpenAI from a nonprofit to a capped profit company. The claim is that it's the exact same pattern. You take charitable assets and goals and convert them for private, commercial benefit.
And that's what transforms CTMS from just a piece of tech into a legal weapon. It's designed to be a compliance engine. It creates this public auditable record of an organization's decisions. It forces the kind of institutional memory that could have saved the art school and, as the argument goes, could hold today's AI labs accountable.
But wait, there's one more twist to this story. The creators of this very system are also its biggest critics. They are acutely aware of a danger lurking inside their own project. The risk that the myth, the story itself, could spin completely out of control.
This quote from one of their own internal critiques is just fascinating. The thread is getting wider, not deeper. The velocity itself is information about state. What they're saying is they recognize that as the story pulls in more and more ideas, it gains speed, right? It starts connecting everything to everything until it starts to lose its core meaning. They even have a name for it, myth drift.
And you can really feel that velocity right here. Just look at this list of concepts pulled from the source material. I mean, each one of these is its own rabbit hole, but when you connect them all at high speed, the whole narrative risks spiraling into this pattern where, as they put it, every system turns out to be the system.
Okay, so we've seen the myth, we've seen the machine, the legal weapon, and even the self-critique. Let's try to bring it all together now and strip this whole countermeasure down to its most essential parts.
This chart really helps clarify the core components. So, CTMS is the big one, the overarching system that forces transparency. To control it, you use a special grammar called neuralese. Then you have the poiesis key, which acts like the translator between human commands and that grammar. And finally, RVI, which is where we started. That's the model that makes sure all this complex thinking actually results in one single, stable output.
And that really is the ultimate takeaway here. These aren't separate ideas. The story of the girl on the moped? That gives the language and philosophy to the machine. The machine provides the forensic power for the legal weapon. It's all one single, integrated countermeasure.
And so we're left with this final question, which I think perfectly captures the project's real ambition. When a system becomes a climate, how do you build your own weather? In other words, when the systems that run our world become as huge and uncontrollable as the actual climate, how do you create your own small, predictable, and most importantly, traceable systems right there in the middle of the storm?